Hey there, Sci Scholar, and welcome to the first lecture for Module 1. In this lecture, I'm going to give you an overview, the highlights of Module 1. I still would like you to review the pages in your module, in your chapter, as you study for the quiz that happens this Wednesday. Now, as a side note, this video is going to be primarily unedited because I want this information out to you as quickly as possible so that you can study for your quiz. Since I'm also recording from home, my dog Coco will be popping in and out of the frame because she's a giant spoiled baby and she likes to check in on me, and she seems to do that a lot more when I do recordings. Now, I've recorded this on YouTube so that you can turn automatic captioning on, change the playback speed, and in YouTube, in the description, I've also tagged the video in a table of contents so you can skip to different sections of this lecture. You may want to subscribe to this channel because I'm probably going to be posting videos before they show up in my announcements. Again, my announcements, which you should definitely make sure they're reporting to your emails, will come on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, and they contain important information to keep you on track in this class. All right, are you ready, Scholar? I keep calling you Scholar, but what exactly is a scholar? So a scholar, by definition, is an expert, a professional, or specialist who is proficient and highly skilled in their field. They have the credentials, they have the degree, and they also contribute to the scholarly conversations that are happening with other subject matter experts in the field. I'm a scholar, your professors are scholars, the librarians that you're going to meet who will help you with your research are scholars as well. And you are a scholar, a student engaged in academic studies to acquire expertise and knowledge within your fields. We also refer to scholars as academics, as researchers, and you're going to find that those terms are kind of used synonymously throughout this video and throughout the course. So first, your professors are going to give you assignment parameters. The assignment requirements will help you determine the kinds of information that you're going to need. And then once you've gotten the parameters and understood that, you're going to determine what topic or question you want to pursue. And you do that with pre-searching, browsing different topics to determine the ones that interest you. When you settle on an interesting topic, you'll formulate a research question that addresses a problem or issue around the topic. And then you'll level up your Googling skills to find information that answers that question. And usually finding that information goes beyond Google into using Google Scholar, some of the search tools like Quick Search, and subject databases that are available at the library. As you find this information and learn more about your topic, you're going to go back and reform your question so that it really aligns with what you're finding. And then you'll inform others about what you've learned in your final project or assignment. Usually, you're telling your professor or your classmates, but if you've got really compelling findings, you may want to inform other scholars at a conference or even publish your work in an academic journal. So let's start with those assignment parameters. Your parameters are the requirements that you must fulfill for your assignment, starting with topic requirements. Some topics will be given to you. In other classes, like your English 2500 class, you'll decide on a topic and a research question. While your English class will help you with refining your writing, this class is going to help you with refining your information hunting skills. You'll need to determine what format you'll need, if it's an essay or a presentation or a piece of code. And the genre, are you making a persuasive argument? Is it an analysis? Is it a lit review? What's the length? How many pages? How long of a presentation? How many slides? Is the tone friendly, formal, or informal? Often the tone depends on your audience. Now, in marketing, your audience may be potential customers. But if it's a presentation given to a conference, it's made of subject matter experts. If it's a TED Talk, it's going to be to a lay audience. And then we're going to get to the stuff that Lib 1600 covers. What sources and types of information are required? How many sources? We'll talk about this next in terms of information. How current does that information have to be? And what's not allowed? What should you not include in your assignment? What's the citation style? You may be used to one in high school, but at the university, the citation style often relies on the subject. Because my research has been in education, I use APA. But when I wrote my book, my publisher wanted me to use Chicago style. In science, they often use MLA. So find out what style your assignment requires. Now on page 1.3 of your module, there is a try it exercise, which I strongly suggest that you do. There are 2 actual assignments from professors here, and we want you to practice identifying parameters because nothing munches more than losing points because you misunderstood the parameters. Speaking of which, let's talk about information requirements. Often, your assignments may require you to find credible, scholarly sources of information. Scholarly sources are written by subject matter experts for subject matter experts, like what you're learning to become. And this information is peer reviewed. What that means is before a research article gets published, it must undergo a review process by fellow subject matter experts. These experts determine whether that research is good enough to be published. And what does it mean to be good enough? Under peer review, these experts determine if this information is in fact novel and new. If the paper just rehashes something that's already done, it's not going to get published because it's already been published. They also look for quality. How you assess quality will be covered in modules 4 and 5, but it has to be credible and quality stuff, right? Written by a subject matter expert, and that information also has to be accurate and trustworthy. But the biggest factor that they look at is whether it contributes to the field. Does it add to the knowledge that's already there? Is it a new discovery? Is it an innovative methodology? These are all factors that go into assessing whether or not a paper should be published. It's also how scholars ensure that what gets put out there isn't just crap. Scholarly materials look very different from the information that you typically find on the internet or in a supermarket, which is what we refer to as popular materials. That's because popular materials are written for a general audience. Popular materials contain flashy covers, advertisements, and catchy titles to entice people to buy regardless of their educational background. The point of popular materials is to grow a readership of as many people as possible so that they can sell as many magazines, articles, or subscriptions as possible. It's all about marketing. Whereas scholarly materials are written to share information with fellow subject matter experts. It looks different. Study that table in 1.3a on the differences between scholarly and popular materials. There's also a try it demonstration where you look at scholarly versus popular materials because visually they also look very different. It makes sense when you think about the audience and purpose behind these materials. Popular materials are written to make money by enticing and growing a readership. So you'll see advertisements, colorful photos, and language written by writers who are not necessarily subject matter experts. Scholarly materials are written to inform members within the academic community. It's about growing knowledge within the field and continuing academic conversations around different topics. This information is peer-reviewed so that it is credible, whereas popular materials may or may not be, because it's about attracting people to read and consume information. In addition to scholarly versus popular materials, your parameters may also require using primary versus secondary information. Primary information is firsthand. They're eyewitness accounts of the event. They could also be generated from a researcher reporting information from their experiment. Primary sources offer a look into mindsets, current perspectives, and perceptions at the time the event is occurring. Some of these accounts may actually be inaccurate because they're occurring at the moment before new details emerge. Secondary sources are recounts, reflections, and commentary about the primary source. They occur after the events happened. Secondary accounts may offer more insights into the event because they often bring additional perspectives and information. The flow of information describes how information on an event accumulates over time. When an event first occurs, you mostly get primary sources of information, eyewitness accounts, photos on social media, on-site reporters, and such. But within hours to days of an event, you start to get secondary sources, broadcasts that summarize the event and add additional information, commentary about the event around certain contexts. They may be posts that analyze the event in light of new information that's surfaced. Because peer review takes time, you may not even see scholarly materials about the event until months to years later. These materials may reframe the event around certain contexts, or they synthesize and analyze the event by comparing it with other events. Knowing the flow of information can help you determine whether you want to pick a more recent topic, which may have more primary information sources, or a less recent topic, which may have more scholarly sources. Keep in mind, too, that information can be both scholarly and primary. Like a researcher who reports their findings in a scholarly journal article is a primary scholarly event. You can also have information that's popular and secondary, like a magazine article that summarizes major events for a year. So scholarly versus popular and secondary versus primary are ways to categorize different information sources. Once you've received an assignment and know its parameters, you need to do some pre-searching. Pre-searching is about finding just enough background information to tell you if a topic is interesting enough to pursue. While pre-searching, you want to know what some of the problems and questions are around that topic. These are the conversations that subject matter experts are having about that topic. You also want to know if there's enough information on your topic that meets your assignment parameters. During the pre-searching process, you're doing a little bit of armchair researching. It's not so much about finding credible information as it is about finding enough information to tell you that yes, this is in fact a topic that you want to pursue. On page 1.4, you'll learn how Wikipedia, books, Google, and AI generators can help you with that pre-search. Oh, did I just mention AI generators? Yes, I did say AI. And I'm sure you've already discovered that people are very touchy about using AI, especially your professors, which is why in this class you're going to learn a bit more about how to use it and when to use it. While AI isn't something that you should necessarily be afraid of, as this meme shows, it's not something you should trust. AI is a tool, but it's an imperfect tool. It's biased and it lies. But AI can also be very useful when you use it responsibly. To use AI responsibly, you must always check first to see if it's allowed in your class. Some instructors say absolutely no AI. Others instructors say yes, you can use AI in some of these cases. It's important to have an ongoing conversation with your professors when it comes to AI. You should also check its sources because AI will make things up. There's actually a term for it called hallucinating or AI hallucinations, where it makes up absolutely faulty information that it passes off as being true. which means you should always evaluate the information that it gives you. You'll learn more about how to evaluate that information in Module 4. You should also use AI ethically. And like I said before, scholars have a code of ethics that they use when it comes to information, when it comes to research, and when it comes to AI. This goes beyond the normal, don't let AI write your papers. Of course, you shouldn't let AI write your papers because it's not your work. But using AI ethically also means that you should always be in charge. It's called leaving the human in the loop. You need to be in control. You need to be the one calling the judgments and the shots. And you must also always check and edit the outputs from AI. I like to think of AI as having a conversation with a stranger at a bar. They will say anything to try and impress you, but it doesn't necessarily mean what they're saying is true. It doesn't necessarily mean that what they say is to the extent or proportions that it really is, okay? But AI can still be an excellent tool to start conversations, to help you brainstorm topic ideas, formulate questions, and even help you study for quizzes when you have the right prompts. Under page 1.4, the Presearching page, Kate Gerritsen, one of our librarians, shares how to create prompts in AI to help you with the pre-searching process. And once you've pre-searched and settled on a topic, you formulate a tentative research question. On page 1.5, Becca Yoler, another one of our librarians, talks about formulating a question in more detail. Also, you'll learn how to use AI prompts to help you with this question formulation. So make sure you watch both those videos. As a rule of thumb, and perhaps something you'll want to put in your notes for the quiz and the final, is that good research questions are specific and focused, manageable, and researchable and defensible. Once you have a research question, it's time to find information that answers that question. And you find that information using keywords. When you have an idea of your research question and your topic, you start pulling and generating key terms from that research topic. Key terms are essential elements of your research question, and they're often nouns. Armchair research, you've probably already done keyword searches, but in academic research, you use these keywords more strategically. When you're identifying these essential elements, you want to make sure you note which words stay together in order to make sense. You might be tempted to include words like result or effect as one of your key terms, but these words are so common that in college level research, using some of the search tools that you'll be using, they're more than likely going to bring you irrelevant results, so you want to avoid them. While identifying key terms, you should also think about related terms or direct synonyms. You'll learn more about that in Module 2. But there's many ways to talk about a subject. And it's important, though, to make sure that you're identifying the essential elements. Essential elements can help you narrow your search to specifically what you're looking for. For instance, say I want to go see Captain America: Brave New World, the movie that comes out in 2025. I'm excited about this. But say you want to see it with a friend in Iowa City. If I just Googled Captain America: Brave New World, I would get more than just movie listings. I'd get a whole wiki on Captain America, including the history of the character, a synopsis of where and when the movie would show, trailers, and so on. It's not going to tell me when I can go see it at my local movie theater in Iowa City. And if you're Googling Captain America in Ames, you're only going to get the movie listings in Ames, not Iowa City. So an essential element in this kind of question is the movie title, but also the location. Otherwise, the information you may want to appear may be far, far, far later down your search results rather than at the top of your page. And this is important, knowing the key elements, because in the first draft of your research question and your list of keywords, it may not give you the results that you want. Your question may be too broad if you get too many results, and the opposite might happen where you get very little information, which may indicate that your question is too narrow or you're not including the right essential elements. If either case happens, think about those essential elements. It could be you may need to add or take away an element to get those results. Take a look on page 1.7 because there's other suggestions on how to revise your question in that section. The results you receive from Google or any search tool are called item records. Now, the Google item records are usually websites, but the library item records that you find here at Parks Library will come in different formats. Page 1.3c covers the most common formats that you'll see, plus examples. I want you to study those examples because you should know how to read an item record and what information comes from that. One of the biggest differences between academic research and armchair research is that most of the information that you'll use in your assignments will come from scholarly journal articles. Journal articles, also called research articles or just articles, are generally written in 6 parts that you see here, which makes it easy for scholars to find the information they need quickly. You don't read journal articles from start to finish because they're really dense and you may not need to understand all that information, and it can be a big waste of your time. During the pre-searching phase, the abstract may be the first and only thing you need to read. The abstract is a mini summary of the paper. That abstract should be just enough to let you know whether or not it should be included in your assignment. The language in the abstract will also tell you whether it's appropriate for your assignment. It may be that this is for a grad level research project as opposed to an undergrad level. If you can't understand a lot of the language in the abstract, it's probably not a paper that you're going to want or that you're going to need. Some articles may not have an abstract, and if that's the case, then go to the introduction. The introduction will give you an overview of the academic conversations around that topic. It may also give you some key terms that can help you find similar articles for your assignment. Now, this information, as well as the information of the other sections in a research article, is found on page 1.4a. By knowing what information comes from each section, it allows you as a researcher to focus on just those sections that are pertinent to your assignment. For instance, if I'm looking on how to do an experiment, I would read the abstracts to find out if the journal article is relevant to my experiments, but then I would only focus on the methodology because I'm looking for methodology, which is a cookbook of how they did their experiments, like an exact specific cookbook of the procedures. And so for me, I would just look at the methodology. For you, if your assignment is about, looking at the solutions to a problem you've identified in the topics, then you may instead want to look at the conclusions of the research article. What did they find when they looked at similar pieces of the research question that you're trying to pursue? When an article fully fits your assignment, we do recommend that you read it from start to finish. Why? Because that's how scholars learn the new information that's coming out in your field. You also want to track your information sources. Otherwise, and I have done this, I have been guilty of this, you will waste valuable time retracing your steps to try and find where the information came from. So when you come across a useful source, just make it a habit to track the author's name, the title of the information source, the date of when it was published, any interesting quotes, page numbers, and the web address for where you found the source. Sometimes I'll even include a short 1 or 2 sentence summary of my own, because personally for me, I only like to read a research article front to back once, and then I'm done, because they are very dense. Instead, I make a little synopsis page with all this information, so I only have to go to the important pieces of it and I don't have to read it again. Now, there's a number of citation manager software that's available for you as an ISU student for free that will help you track this information and even store these articles for you. We'll talk more about this in Module 5, but if some of you are now at the stage where you're doing this research and you need a citation manager, come find your librarian and they will help you get that all set up so that you can track information as you go along and you won't be like Sad Kitty here. All right, we've just gone through the entire academic research process. Now that we've gone through the process together, I want you to go back to the table on 1.1. Take a look at it. You'll understand that academic research is about sharing information and participating in the academic conversations that you and your subject matter experts are having. It's about growing and expanding the knowledge within your field, and that's why it's such a meticulous and rigorous process, because you have to ensure that the information you found is trustworthy and credible. Your research is going to be a reputation of who you are as a professional in your field. Academic research and journal articles are how scholars communicate their work in their fields of study. Armchair research serves a very different purpose and a very different audience, which is why it's not so rigorous in most cases. Now, to study for your quiz, you can cover different parts of the table, like you see here. See if you can fill in the blanks on your own. This is a great way to study for a quiz or test, any quiz or test actually. Speaking of studying, go back and review all the pages in the module. Do the interactives, see if you can understand them, and then look at the last page of what I've learned. This page is chock full of review tips and suggestions for how to study. You're going to find that many of these strategies will help you in your other classes too. And as always, if you ever have questions, you can reach out to me at yenv, as in Victor, at iastate.edu. Happy studying, ace those quizzes, and I'll see you in Module 2.